everyone. I'm happy to be here today to show you the next phase of my organizational solutions. Today it's beads and charms and chains and dangles and all those little tiny things that are supposed to be organized in a particular way, and I'm just not doing that anymore. So let me show you what I'm doing instead. This is another thing that, kind of like the ribbons, it's off the wall, but I know it's going to work, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Let me turn the camera around and show you. There it is. There they are. They're all in jars on top of the file cabinet. And the chains are on this wall decoration. It was, when I moved into this room, it was on the wall to hang my chains because it's like a necklace organizer, you know, it keeps them from getting tangled. And I really liked the way that worked, but I now don't have enough wall because I changed out my short black file cabinet for this tall 5-drawer file cabinet, which I'm pretty happy to have, but that meant a reorganization of my cutting space, and yeah, so I had to figure out how to attach this to the new wall, which is this metal file cabinet. So I did finally found a way to drill a hole in it, and it's fastened on there. And I love the way the chains are. They're just, you know, I've just used paper clips and I hang them just vertically so that they don't get tangled. And there's no real rhyme or reason to the arrangement. You know, it can get rearranged as I take it off and put it back on again. So that's not important, but I do like the way it visually inspires me. And then all of the beads used to be in those bead containers, right? Those divided bead containers where they're supposed to be. But every time I would try to get to them, they were in a tote, in a box, in the closet, or on the floor under a pile of other things. And it just didn't work. I just hated it. And so I ended up with all these little jars of mixed beads that should have gone back in their divided spot, but didn't, because that's not how I work. And so I just finally decided, okay, we're just going to put them all back together. And so based on my strategy of organizing how I work, since I make these 3 categories of journals, bright boho-ish journals, steampunk journals, and mostly vintage journals, then those are the 3 categories I have for my beads and charms. So this jar and the jar behind it, those are all the brightly colored beads and fairy and butterfly charms and stuff like that. These are all the steampunk beads, and then I have the vintage divided into, and of course, you know, it can mix, but I have silver, gold, bronze, I have white behind there, and I have black over here. And then these are charms that are already ready. They're handmade, and some just metal charms that are ready for journal pages or tags or to put on dangles. But if I want to make a charm dangle, for instance, or a beaded charm for a journal page, if I want to do steampunk, I would just come over and grab the steampunk jar, and I would bring it over here to my desk, and I'm going to mount the camera. There we go, so that I can use both hands. I would just take the beads and dump them out. Sorry about the noise. And then I have, you know, this little tray that can be my audition spot. And then I would just, you know, sort through them and decide what I wanted to do. you know, just choose beads based on what I wanted to make. I put beads on my closures sometimes, and so, you know, I would just choose if I wanted to make, you know, a steampunk insect, you know, I would just choose some things and then audition them over here on this little tray. If I didn't like it, then I just dump it back in and keep looking. And then, you know, these are just small that were already sorted, and I left them in those little jars. When I'm finished, then I would just scoop them up and put them back in the jar. And it takes me a few minutes, and it is kind of a noisy process that I don't particularly like, but you know, I've tried that before. They spill. Anyway, this takes me a minute, but it doesn't take nearly as long as trying to find the little plastic container in the closet in a tote under a pile of other stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to work better. Let me take the camera back so that I can show you. This is where the findings are, you know, the little wires and jump rings and other little crimp beads and stuff to actually construct the dangle is over here. My tools to make it hang here on this organizer. I have some other findings, metal, beadish kinds of things over here in those plastic containers that I have left in there. These are cover metal things. I have eyelets here, extra eyelets. I have some, these are some other findings to make dangles. Anyway, so there's that in there. The page embellishments are still in this tub. Let me put it here. I have, again, sorted. I have 2 steampunk. So here's the gears and other flat things, you know, that go on pages. So I have 2 steampunk. I have 1 bright boho-ish, and then I have a vintage. And look at this, I have an empty one because I've sorted some out. So that's really nice. Yeah, so that tote just goes back here on the shelf. Just while we're here, this is where my distress inks are, just as handy as possible because I just use those constantly. Anyway, so then I would finish putting the beads back in the jar and just put the jar back up where it goes. And yeah, so that's, oh, there's my hand, there I am. So that's how I'm doing my beads. I know it's not for everybody, and obviously babies are not going to be safe in here, but the other grandkids, they can come and play with the chains and the beads. I don't mind. So yeah, this is what I'm going to try anyway and see how it works. So it might not be for everyone, but it's very inspiring to me, and I'm looking forward to the experiment. So we'll see you again next time. It's going to be, I think, the room tour.